Alright guys, we're going to try this on video and see how well it works. So, when I took these apart of each bay, this is the front, or at least where the dial end is, so I call that the front. Whichever way you want to call it, but the shaft will go in like that, and then you'll have your piece that adjusts it, the knob and stuff, and then you'll have the dial. So I just call out the front. So anyway, when I took these out, I numbered them. So there's a 1 I marked there, and then I marked a 1 here. It is best to try to keep these as a pair. They have been fine-tuned to that point. Now, when you put the shims in, things will kind of move a little bit on you. Spring just a little bit, because you want the shims relatively tight. So, but that's okay. The biggest thing is with the shims in place, it does hold them in center. Now, these little pieces are what are used to basically the nuts. So they have to go in here, which we've got to bring you up just a little bit. There we go. One in, and get the other one in, and this will be one of the places that Murphy shows his nastiness. So stick this down inside, making sure that my shims go through the hole. So I've already ran into a minor glitch. One of the shims are a little bit too wide. So we will remove that set, trim them up. And put them back in. Now, get our little nut piece back in. Got it in one place here. We'll just go ahead and get a screw, or try to. That slid just a little bit. Now these fit tight, so I'll get a little screwdriver here to act as a little persuasion. Let's see if we can. Yeah, it's going to be just a tad bit stubborn. Probably going to have to do is loosen the screw back up. to get her to fit down. There she goes. Now we'll take our screw starter and get another screw, put him on. Remember, you want to keep these relatively loose because you're going to probably have to make some minor adjustments as things go along until you're completely, the shaft is in and settled into place. Once that's there, then, and the plates look good, everything is set and nice, then you can tighten them down. Okay. Now we'll see if we can get another one in. Get our shims through. That one went in a little nicer. So the other thing about these is you got to keep track of your screws, and the main reason is because the screws that go into this part, generally on all of them, will be a larger round screw, larger head, as opposed to some of the other body screws that hold brackets and stuff on. These, you can see a slight difference in size, so we'll just keep going on here and hopefully everybody's nice. I'm hoping that this is not going to be an extraordinarily lengthy video, but if it is, it'll just take a little longer to upload. It all depends. Now, one other thing too, when you're putting these in, remember that standard tuning condensers is off-centered, so don't put it in upside down or you'll be taking it out. So you always want to keep remembering that we have a, they are off-centered where the shaft goes through. Tight, but he's going in. These little screw starters are really nice and invaluable working on stuff. They're spring loaded, they got a lock on them, and you push the screw on, or you set the screw on there, then you just push it down. That turns the spring tension and holds it. What it's doing is, you got the offsets here. So It allows you to, if you got to get down into something real deep or something, or it's real hard to get a hold of, or turn the screw and get it in place, these make it really nice to start a screw. And they still make them. This one's quite old, but they make them. Auto parts stores has got them. Most of them now are plastic handled, which is fine. Is actually probably better for any reason that you might be into a situation where you need to start a screw in something or something that may have a low voltage there. Right off the bat, I can't think of what you would be doing that for, but anything's possible. So, but they do, the modern day ones has got the plastic handles. Okay, you didn't stop. That's the third one. Now we'll see how well the fourth one goes in. Hopefully it does. Also, a lot of the modern day ones, you can buy them. I've seen them where on one end is for flathead or a straight standard screw, and then on the other end will be the same technique and design, but for Phillips screws. Go in there. There we go. Which comes in handy if you're dealing with Phillips screws. I haven't actually used the Phillips one, but I've heard a lot of people give it a lot of praise. And they're not real expensive. They're like, I don't know, $5-6 or something like that. They're usually made by a company called Lyle. There's one company that makes them, which makes specialty tools, stuff of that nature. Get over. There we go. And the last two screws, and we'll try to set the shaft. Get the shaft in. Of course, everything's got to get centered. And it's being stubborn. Those set screws out all the way. I don't know why it's There she goes. Just a tight little fit for some reason. Didn't come out near that tight. Went through just fine. That was a little high. Just get her centered, go through the hole. There we go. Now the next trick on the ballot here is before we lock anything down, leave our shims sitting in there. They'll fold over a little bit. But we've got to get our bearings put in. Which we got right here, and I've got me a nice little magnetic screwdriver. We'll take one at a time. And this just takes a little time. You just put one bearing at a time in to some grease that you put on the shaft. Rotate the shaft as you do it. Drop the bearing into place. Kind of shove her down just a little bit. And keep going until they're all in place. Now, it's not a difficult thing. I mean, as far as, wow, this is hard and complicated. And it's just a patience thing. Just take your time. It's like anything else. I mean, if you're doing cabinet work, especially if you got a cabinet that's in bad shape, you know, you may have to re-veneer some of it. You're going to have to do, you know, refinish, strip what finish is on there, and do a lot of sanding and prepping, and get your lacquer put on, and more sanding, and more coats until you get it exactly where you need it. And then that just gets the toner on, and then you go from there, and you know, you got your finish coats and your clear coats and whatever you're putting on. And of course, even before you put the toner on, grain filler and stuff. We just bring her back in, and it's locked. Now the other end is a little bit easier on this particular style. Although I wish I kind of had this set in some way to make it a little bit easier, and I don't think. Something to set that shaft in so I don't push out. Now, a little more grease. And also get you guys so you can see it. What I'm doing, maybe I'll rotate this way a little bit. Hopefully it's not too shiny, but I've found out that this camera works better with more light. It does not. Even though it's supposed to be low light, it seems to not be too good at it. Gets a little grainy. So I apologize for the video quality. I'm right now shopping around for a better quality camera. Hopefully I can find something at a reasonable price. Just white lithium grease. It's nice and sticky. Again, same way. One at a time. Not the most exciting video in the world. And a lot of times I don't talk a lot when I'm doing stuff. I keep my mind on what I'm doing. One more. And we got this piece, we have a bearing cap. Now we need a couple screws. Taking the screws on first. We'll use a screw starter again. This makes it a lot easier. Whenever you're putting screws into anything where you got like at least more than one screw, it's better to start all your screws first before you tighten them down. Because otherwise, if you put one screw in and it's turned a little bit or twisted a little bit or something just a little bit off, that next screw could be a little bit challenging. Okay. Now, set this. Huh, that's pretty good right there. I'll worry about the adjustment more a little later. Now, make sure everybody is fully closed, and I've got to remember, so I've got a pin that goes in. This is one of the stops. I gotta check the shaft because it goes in one way. I think. Yeah, there we go. We'll drive it in. The pin is slightly tapered at one end, and the hole is tapered, so that's what I was looking for, because the other way it wouldn't want to go in very good, but the one way it does, and then it'll go all the way down. And then we take a brass punch, red brass, and then a brass hammer, a smacker, and that seems to be good. And that's our stop this way. The other stop would, oh wait a minute, let's see. No, the other stop is these. So stop goes that way. So that's when they're fully open. So we'll have to do some adjustments to get them set. What we'll do is a temporary lockdown, and then I can rotate them. At least. I used to have a driver for these. It broke one day. Now what I'm going to do on this particular one is we're going to do a temporary tight down. Tighten her down a little bit. And we're probably going to have to make some minor tweaks. It's not unusual. Okay. Okay, so I need to adjust that, oh, about a quarter of a turn. Got some better shims for this. They don't hold perfectly, but they'll keep it basically centered. It needs some minor adjustment anyway. But to add just a little bit. If I can. There we go. Now what we'll do is loosen it. Rotate that shaft about a quarter of a turn. We'll just keep doing that until we get it. I need to lock the other one down. Almost there. I think we'll see if we can just do this without shimming it. Turn it a little more. There we go. Fully open and hitting the stop. Okay. That means that's where everybody else can go. Go ahead and tighten them. I'm probably going to end this video here pretty quickly. We're coming up on 30 minutes. And main reason for that is I know I did a 40-minute video and that took me 3.5 hours to upload. The internet here right now, my ISP is, well, basically they've gotten so many new customers that they have overwhelmed their servers. So things has been rather slow on the internet, running about 1/3 of its normal speed. So makes it kind of pain. Okay, now we'll pull the shims out, but before we do, screw, don't fit these screws too good. Tighten these. I'm not locking them down real tight, just enough to hold them. Because even with shims and doing everything else, they get moved around a little bit, a little jostling. So you're always having to make sometimes a little minor adjustments. You just basically eye it and look at it, and if it looks good, it's good. The biggest thing about them, as long as they just don't short or touch, they don't have to be dead centered. The capacitance will work either anyway if they're just a little bit off. Now I know I got one screw I don't have tightened there and one not here, because I may have to adjust those. So no play in it, and that is not too awfully bad. This one down here might need a minor adjustment, which we'll do the minor adjustments on the next video. Don't know if you can see it, but it's a little bit tight there and a little wider over here. On this side it looks not too bad. So what that means is these screws over here need to be loosened a little bit, and that stator moved this way, just ever so slightly. The rest of them actually look pretty darn centered. I do have one right here that may need just a minor tweaking, but other than that they look pretty good. So, and they're not hitting. So on the next video we'll work on tweaking them, getting that set, getting these pieces in, our grounding straps, forks. I still got to clean up the top connector post. I want to clean them up. These three here actually are part, well, there's 4 of them as part of capacitors, trimmer capacitors on top. I get these cleaned up, and of course get the wires off and stuff, and we'll get her back together on the next video. So I hope it was of some interest. It works pretty, it's in good shape now. Just a tad bit in place, so that basically, we just turn that. We'll do that tweak too. Turn that, and then there's a nut on there, and once you got it just what you want, you hold the screw and turn and tighten the nut down. That locks it, so it can't unscrew anymore. So everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll get back to you on the next video. It'll probably be a couple days, maybe tomorrow. I might be able to get it done tomorrow, hopefully. So I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.